Hi, Old Man Tech here. This video is a compilation of the different stages over time in restoring a Duncan Phyfe style dining table. The following picture on the screen is of my completed table. Although I am not a professional furniture restorer by any means, perhaps the steps that I took to arrive at the finished project will help someone with their project. Believe me, if I can do this, so can you. If any of these methods helped you in your project, please leave a comment and click the like button. Thank you. Okay, here we are with pieces at the various stages of repair from under the side of the table. And this piece here I've pretty much got done. I had to go through the process that I'm doing on this one here right now. It had a major long crack in it, so I got it all gluing up. These pieces here, these legs, I've already finished gluing back up. They're pretty much ready to sand. They started with a condition like this one here, where for some reason they decided to split down the middle, and of course they have to be glued back up, which is what this process here is doing. After you glue these up, I actually brushed on the yellow glue, wood glue on these pieces so it was even throughout. And when you go and clamp them up on here, you're going to have, of course, a lot of glue coming out that you got to clean up, and it's best to do that while it's still soft. So get you a little bucket with some real hot water in it, a little bit of laundry liquid detergent, and a good rag, and just go along and wipe, get all that stuff out of there. It'll save you a big headache when you go and try and clean it up later. You'll probably end up chipping some wood out trying to clean it out. So get that all cleaned up first. All right, having completed the glue up and clamping process, got all the legs and everything glued back together the way they're supposed to be. I couldn't help but notice, though, if you look on the end of this leg where it fastens to the pedestal, where that support screw goes, and I'll show you where that is right here. That goes on them dowels, and then you've got that metal support piece that goes into there to give it that extra added strength so it doesn't split out under weight. I think what I'm going to probably do is just progressively drill the holes bigger until I get to the size of a dowel rod. Combination square to kind of just give me a visual. And I'm going to use this spur point bit, or commonly referred to as a dowel bit. You can see the point on that, and it cuts a square bottom hole. We're going to line this up. Going to start our hole. We got some tape on here marked about 5/8 up because we don't want to get into the hole area there. So we'll line that up, get a good visual on up and down here, and we'll come in at a little angle, start that hole, and we'll straighten it out. We'll sand that off, clean it off smooth, drill a new hole on reassembly. So that should be a good repair on that. We want to insert the dowels into the holes we just drilled previously. I chose to use Gorilla Glue because a couple of the other legs that I had to put dowels in were a little bit wobbly thanks to my poor drilling. Smear that old Gorilla Glue on there liberally. When this stuff sets up, believe me, it'll be like a rock. It ain't going nowhere. So now we're going to take and put that dowel right there in the hole, give her a little spin. Then our next step is, when we come along, we're going to take a coping saw. We're going to get as close to that other wood as we can on the leg, and then we'll sand the rest of it down. So we'll stay a little bit off the leg. There, You can see we got a little stubby left there. We got to sand off. You can see I got some clamps here. I'm going to try and hold this from moving on me. What I'm going to do is take a belt sander and use the roller end of it. This tip right here on the end, to get as close to the leg as I can without damaging it. You can see how we got her pretty darn close there. We'll just set her back in there. Then we're going to follow up with an orbital sander with 150 grit to finish the process. Sanded down now, it's really nice and smooth. Got all the legs taken care of on that. The next step here, we're going to try and see what we got for this finish remover. It's called Citrus Strip. Paint and varnish stripping gel. Got me a set of these plastic putty knives, plastic knife set, to protect the wood best we can. I got some of that in this container right here. We're going to spread it just on one side. I'm not going to go back and try and thin it out like you would with paint. You just put her on. And let her set. Make sure you put on your safety gloves because it can be caustic. Oh yeah. 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 See that? That can save a lot of sanding right there. And well, I guess that's encouraging. Get a towel here and get some of it off of there. That knife. Okay, obviously lighter fluid was not a very good choice for that. And like I told you before, I ain't no expert at this. I could hear some of you old boys out there laughing. Yeah, look at this guy, look what he's doing. He didn't always do it. That's true, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning. And what I have learned here in the last couple minutes was good old acetone. The old standby for surface prep for paint and all that stuff. We'll put some on a rag here. Make sure you got your gloves on. Put the caps back on because she is a little fumy. Don't want to breathe any more than you have to with that. But I did notice I tried a little piece here on here earlier. As you can see the difference. Basically almost taking it just right down the wood. And even though I could have gone another coat of stripper, why waste it? Just put a little bit extra elbow grease in here, and pretty much all that comes right off the wood. Yeah, check that out. Next challenge is going to be this part here with all this profile. Here we are with the legs reinstalled onto the pedestal. So now we've got a good solid fastening point to keep these legs from spreading out. Okay, now we've got the legs fastened to the pedestals. Okay, now we're in the staining process. I can tell you by experience that follow the instructions on the stain can. Now we're using Minwax wood stain. It's a clear tint base, and then they add the pigments to it to get the color. In this case, it's called American Walnut. Now, as I mentioned, do not try and coat this whole thing. They say a recommended maximum time to leave it on is 3 minutes. Well, that was a mistake when I did this whole thing, because then it wouldn't want to come off. So then I had to go back with hot soapy water and rub it all off and then start over again. So here we go. I told you I ain't no expert at this. So we live and learn as we go in some cases. So we're just going to put a little bit on a little area at a time, and then we're going to come back and wipe it off. So we're going to start up here at the top. Don't do any more than you think you can wipe off before 3 minutes.
you must come back over here and start wiping her off. So we're going to do that right now. Just going to do a little bit at a time. And move on to the next section that you are confident that you can get it wiped off in under 3 minutes.
Spring of 2020 has arrived, and hopefully we can get some work done outside of this basement now. Get her stripped off and taken apart. Right here is what we're doing today. It's got the old standard screws on it. Kind of a pain in the butt to work on. I might put Phillips screws back in it when I get ready, but at any rate, that's the process right here. Get her all tore apart, and I've already scraped off most of the residue from the stripper. Now here's all I'm doing with the coarse steel wool. Pull up all that old residue and stain. You want to get it while it's still wet. See that? That's how that's done. There she be. Okay, yesterday I went through the hardware that I'd taken off. Little catches that pull the leaves together on the ends. I used a Dremel and some wire brushes and got some of that old corrosion off. We're just going over all the stained surfaces with some 220. Just using the hand, you don't want to go too deep. You can see there's still some imperfections in there, little scratches and stuff. But like I said, that's character, so we're going to leave them in there. I'm going to use a satin finish, which will help hide them to some extent. Some of these dowels were missing or not set in right, so I pulled some of them out and replaced some of them with new ones. So we've gotten that taken care of. So just take your hand, like I say, with some 220, and just take your time. You're just breaking anything that's a little on the rough side off of it. Okay, I got my first coat of water-based urethane on top of it. Most of the big pieces anyway. Couldn't ask for a better day outside, the sun's shining down. Got 2 coats of polyacrylic, which is basically a water-based polyurethane or poly something or another. I'll go through the steps and show you how I've learned the hard way how to apply this. Take a little 220 between the coats, kind of rough it up a little bit. So the next coat of poly has something more to adhere to. Go around the edges a little bit. And take a clean rag. Wipe her down good. Actually surprised at how quick this dries. I've been putting a coat on, taking it outside, and it's almost dry to the touch or anything sticking to it in about 10 or 15 minutes. I got one of these little foam rollers. Like they say when you buy these, a good point, make sure you soak them up good before you start applying. I started a section with a dry roller and ended up having to take it all off with steel wool and acetone and everything, sandpaper, everything you can think of to get it back to where I could do the right job again. So anyway, make sure you soak these up good. I'll kind of put it on fairly liberally. Another tip,
Do not do this outside in the sun with this quick drying poly. You'll be amazed how the one end will be dry by the time you get to the other end. And that, you don't get a smooth looking finish with that. These ways you'll be doing a lot of sanding to get it halfway smooth again. So don't do it out in the sun. So I'm just putting it all on here with this roller to begin with. Just make sure I got it coated. Don't want it real thick, because very quickly you're going to come back behind that. I got about a 3-inch foam brush. I tried a regular brush, bristle brush, like many people say, which is probably fine in some situations, but in this, no. The brush left too many, you might say, ridges in it, which when it comes to dry and sand it back again, there you go again, another pain in the ass. So you can see with this foam brush, it goes on smooth, lays down any bubbles that might have been in it. Go past your work, come in and just catch the end and come past the work. We've got all the pieces finished. I've got a set of legs here in front of me. I'm about ready to put the table together, but first we want to make sure we take care of these leg tips. Now they come with these tips to protect the front. Originally, as you can see, they were brass, kind of a shiny brass, but the finish is pretty much worn out, and a couple of them, matter of fact, the brass is pretty much gone on it. I originally smoothed them all out, thinking I was going to have them replated with brass, but the trouble is there's nobody in town here that'll do that, and I'd have to send them away about 100 to 150 miles away to have somebody do that. Pay for all that expense, just didn't think it was worth it. Plus, some of these have some little corrosive pits in them that if you were to brass plate it, it would probably show up under the plating. So what I've opted to do is get some of this Rust-Oleum hammered paint and primer all in one. Kind of matches the wood a little bit. That was my last resort. I surely didn't want to paint these things, but I figured the way they're kind of rough with a little bit of corrosion on them and all that, that this hammered look might kind of hide some of that. So we're going to go that route. Before you commit to painting though, it's not a bad idea to make sure that all these tips fit and go on loosely, because you don't want to try and have to bend them back in shape with a pair of pliers or anything once you've got your paint on them. So basically what I did is I found a piece of wood about the same size that fit inside of it, and I took a screwdriver and kind of pried them a little bit just to make sure that they will slip on. Okay, then too, there's some holes in these legs where the original brass nails went in to hold the leg on each side. And just to make sure that my new nails that I put in are going to fit correctly, I'm going to take some little matches, put a little glue on them, hammer them in, break them off, sand them smooth. That way my new nails will have something good and solid to fasten to. So what I've done now to prep these little legs, I've taken a little 150 sandpaper and just put some little scratches in them so that the paint will adhere to them a lot easier. Then once you do that, put you on some protective gloves. Get you a clean rag. And a little like good old acetone. Wipe them down real good. You can also see I got some little felt tips. Actually Gorilla Glue tips. They make these for chairs and tables and legs and what have you, all different kinds. On these particular ones, I didn't want, because of the weight of the table, for them to fall off or anything like that, but you actually drill like a 3/8 hole, 1/4 inch deep or so, and then it's got a cup, a metal cup that you hammer into the wood, so guarantee you that ain't going to get scuffed off of there very easily. So, next step is we're going to get that paint on it, and we'll come back and see how she turns out. Turned out pretty good using that hammered look on the paint. I didn't want to paint them originally, but I think this will go nicely. This ought to go nicely with these legs here once they're on. Yeah, I think so. We're ready to put our tips on our table legs. To start off with, old carpenter trick, instead of using a drill bit to make sure that the nails will go in, you actually use the nail you're going to be using, put it in a drill. It's called spinning a nail. So you risk putting a drill bit in, you risk drilling a hole too big, and then the nail will be rendered pretty much useless. So here we're going to put the tips on.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't.
Before the last segment of this video of installing a table pad, I would like to take this opportunity to award the finished table to one of our 3 offspring. I have the 3 names here to draw from. And the winner is...
What do you think you're doing? You know better.
Oh yeah, I already promised the table to one of them already, so I guess they will have to wait until we croak to collect on it. Anyway, stay tuned for the next segment on installing a table pad to protect your investment of time and money.
Got the table done, all put together, along with these chairs that I've refinished before. That's for another video. And I just got a box in today from Pioneer Tablepad Company. It was all boxed really good. Of course, they send you some papers and literature, and then you make a diagram of the curve on your table or what have you. Then they send you the pad. It's got a nice smooth back to protect the table.
Velvet.
And then I've matched the top with the wood. So it folds out, goes on the table there. We've got another half here somewhere. There it is. See how strong this is? About 1/2 inch. Your stuff you put on the table will not imprint on it, I've been told. Just fold these out. Also, if you look here, there's some plastic catches on here that hook into the other part so that you don't have them coming apart on you. Really good idea. I can figure out how they go together here.
There, I heard it.
Oh, I see. One just falls into the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And there she be.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Also, I've got 3 12-inch leaves for this. And I've got the pads for those in here. Now instead of, if you wanted, for an example, to have all 3 leaves in, you didn't want all, all those seams, what they will do is they'll send you a 24-inch. If you put 2 leaves in, you got a 24-inch. If you put 1 leaf in, of course you've got one for that. So if you put all 3 leaves in, you got 1 less seam by using the 24 and the 12. If you just want 2 in, of course, just use this one. If you just want 1 leaf in, you use this one. So it's a really great system that Pioneer Tablepad has come up with for this. So I'll probably never use all of these leaves. I don't imagine that many people coming over here to eat, but I figure I'm going to give this to one of my children, so I just got the complete set for them so they can have the whole shebang when I have passed on, not before. Okay. Excellent job, Pioneer Tablepad. This job is done.